We're going to do these one at a time in a certain order together, and we're going to start with this square on the upper left. So let me give you some fundamentals here. We're going to take a corner and aim it to the vanishing point, but watch my technique. I'm going to put my pencil on the corner exactly and put a little weight behind it. Now I'm going to, light as a feather, pivot my straight edge against the pencil until I get to the vanishing point. And then when I get to the vanishing point, I'm going to shift my body weight onto the straight edge. You see my knuckles are going white? Now my pencil is light as a feather. I'm just going to drag it to make a light line, and that is how I get a precise line. Now let's go to this next corner right here and repeat. And then this next corner here, remember, put your pencil on the corner, pivot your straight edge on that pencil until it goes right where you want it, and then shift your weight to it and take your weight off of the pencil so you can make a light line. All right, but I don't actually want this to go on forever as far as I can see. So here's the fundamental of that. Let's say, do the easiest one first. I think it's this one. So this front corresponding line is vertical. So what I have to do is wherever I cut it off, I can cut it off close or far away, but the rule is the entire straight edge must be parallel to that line. It can't be slightly tilted or angled. You could go right to it and then just pull straight off. And if you think the entire straight edge is parallel to this line as if they went on forever and didn't get closer or farther apart, then you know that you can make that cutoff line right there, okay? It automatically gives me this back bottom corner. So what I'm gonna do is put my pencil there, and I will then pivot my straight edge on the pencil until the entire straight edge is parallel to this line. And if it is, that's the next cutoff. Okay, now at this point, if I want to, I can erase the leftover orthogonal lines. Okay, now let's go to this rectangle right here. So it's the same thing, but you're using the same vanishing point. You're not inventing a new dot. You're using the same dot. So I'll take this corner right here, pivot to the vanishing point, and connect it. Now, if you know you're going to cut it off and you know you're going to be erasing, then what you could do is, as long as you know you're going exactly to the dot, you could just kind of trail the line off. You see how I sort of trailed it off at the end there? Because I know I'm going to erase it, right? So you don't have to go all the way to the dot, as long as you know it's accurate. And then this corner here, this corner does indeed have a path to the vanishing point. So I will address that one as well. This fourth corner, it does not have a visible path to the vanishing point, so I will leave that one alone. All right, so if I want to cut this one off, what's the easier one to cut off? Would you guys agree that it's this one? So I can cut it off wherever I want as long as I'm parallel to this line. So if I'm slightly this way, it's wrong. If I'm slightly this way, it's wrong. Well, the key that helps me is I actually look at the entire straight edge and I visualize this as a long line, and if in my mind they seem parallel, then I'm satisfied to make a cutoff, okay? Now, again, what that did for me is it now creates a chain reaction. It tells me where this bottom corner will go. So I can put my pencil on that corner and pivot off of it until the straight edge, this straight edge has to be parallel to this line, and if it is, it's an accurate cutoff line. And then I can now erase the leftover orthogonals. This one here, this last rectangle on the upper right, is no different. Just because it's tilted, it's no different, okay? So take these corners to the vanishing point, and what you do is you can just stop and underlap behind a form you've already done. But the fact that it is angled doesn't change anything about the technique. You stay true to the vanishing point, okay? Then this cutoff, again, it's no different. You do the easy one first, is this one. You come off of it parallel, and all of you are getting this part right. What some of you are getting wrong is this second cutoff has to be parallel to this. So if I put my pencil here, I've got to rotate. And before I draw the line, I have to ask myself, is my straight edge parallel to this line? And if it is, I know it's right. I can erase these leftover orthogonal lines. Now, if you wanted that to look like it was going on forever, what you could do is pass over this object and then continue the lines if you wanted to do that. Okay, now let's do the hexagon. The easy corners are right here. So I'm pretty sure you can handle that. But what's weird about the hexagon are these two corners on the sides. If I put my pencil there and aim it to the vanishing point, it does indeed have a gentle path. Just a little sliver is going to be visible. See? And then if I put my pencil on the other corner, that too, to the vanishing point, has a path. This is where accuracy really, really matters. Now cutting it off, this part is really easy for you. This first part, you just want to make sure that this part is parallel, okay? But then this is where it gets weird, and you have to trust the system. So if you put your pencil right here on this corner, now I'm going to pivot, and I have to pivot a long way until this whole thing and the straight edge are indeed parallel. Then that's my line, and it's going to be very tight, right? It's a tight fit. Then on the other side, I'll put my pencil exactly on this corner. I will pivot off of it until the straight edge is parallel to this line, and then I can draw that. Okay? Okay. Now I'm going to move us onto the star. I purposely put the star where it goes and made it the way it is to teach a certain lesson with it. Okay? The first lesson is, yes, the outer corners go to the vanishing point, but this star has interior or inside corners as well. Right here is an inside corner. We have to address that. So anytime there are inside corners, you can't skip those. Now, this inside corner right here, if I aim that to the vanishing point, I don't think I'll really see that line. So I'm going to skip it. But this corner has a clear line. Let's go to these corners. This one, no. This one, let's check it. No, I would not see it. This one I definitely wouldn't see. How about this one? This corner to the vanishing point, there is some daylight here. So I'm going to draw it, but I'm going to stop it right here to give the illusion that this line is underlapping behind all that action. Now, the easiest one, in my opinion, would be to cut off right here. So let's do that. Just make that first cutoff parallel. These have to be parallel. So wherever you want it, just put it in. How about right there? Okay. And this starts a chain reaction. Okay. This is a corner, and so this cutoff line must be parallel to this. So what I'll do is I will pivot, right? I'm going to pivot this to make sure that my straight edge is parallel to this, and we'll go there to there. Look closely at my star. Would you guys agree, what relationship does this line have with this one? Do they almost sort of pass through like that? Okay, they're not perfect, but they're very close. So therefore, if this cutoff line is true, which it is for my drawing, it must logically pass through and get picked up on the other side. Okay? So wherever it picks up on the other side, that's where I will put my straight edge. Make sure I'm parallel. And I draw it there. If you put this straight edge here and then I put this one out there or too close in, it is now messed up. The illusion is not correct. Furthermore, this might apply to you, it might not. This line here also passes through to this line here. So then therefore this line, this cutoff would pass through. So if there's a visible pass through, you would know where to put it. Mine, I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, now let's talk about the car. So all I'm going to do is not think of this as a car while I'm doing it. I'm just going to address each corner to the vanishing point. Try to be accurate. Inside corners and outside corners. The inside corners kind of point in and the outside corners point out, right? This one of the major secrets to being able to draw realistically and accurately is when you are drawing certain things, a very important ability to have is to think about those things as nothing more than basic shapes and basic forms. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this off. I would say the roof is the easiest place to start. So I'll cut this off here, and that then starts a chain reaction. A chain reaction toward the back and a chain reaction toward the front. So from going backward, from here, I'm going to pivot, and this is so important. This is where a lot of people screw it up. The straight edge has to be parallel to this little line. So from there to there, that's the cutoff. Now that from that spot, I've got to be parallel to this line. See? Okay, now this is a little weird. Just as this goes this way, down and over, I'm going to pretend that I go this way, down and over, so that gives me a little cutoff right there. And now that's the back. Now I'm ready to move forward toward the front. So again, I'm going to put my pencil here, pivot, and I have to make sure that my entire straight edge is parallel to this little line. And if it is, I can insert that cutoff. Then from here, I've got to look at this line. And that's it. Here's how we do this, anything that's rounded. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot, put my pencil on the vanishing point. Just watch me do it, and then you'll do it. I'm going to pivot off of it until, look what happens, until I reach the outermost edge of the curve. You see right here? Now I'm leaving a little space so my pencil can touch the curve. And then I'll draw that line. Okay? Now I have to do that again. Watch closely. I'm going to pivot off of the vanishing point until I hit the outermost part of the other side. How about right there? Right there? So that is actually what that oval cylinder would look like if it were going on forever as far as I can see. Okay? But I'm going to cut it off. But if you don't cut it off correctly, it looks really wrong. So I'm going to talk to you about some logic of this. The outermost part is here and here. Are we all in agreement of that?
Yes.
Okay. Could we visualize, you don't have to literally draw it like I am, but could you visualize an imaginary line between them? Okay. So therefore, if I were to come off of that imaginary line out like this, making sure that I'm parallel to this, then I know that I'm going to be going from here to here, right? Okay, now let's look back at the beginning. Can you guys look here? From here to here, what is this line doing? What does it look like? It's like a fish hook, maybe a backward J. It's more heavily rounded here and more straight here, but still slightly curved. So from here to here, all I want to do is mimic it exactly. See what I'm doing? I'm just trying to mimic the exact, and it's tricky, but if you can mimic it exactly, but it's smaller, of course, it will look correct. The clover I put in there because it has corners and curves. So the top of the leaf will go right here. Then let's see, the next curve is right here. See? Okay. Then the bottommost part of this curve right here will go there. That tip of the clover stem is just a corner. That'll go to the vanishing point. But then check this out. This is sort of like the star. This curve on the right petal, right here, I'll just draw it and underlap it. Okay, and then right here as well. See that right there? Right here, I will underlap that. So that's how I address the clover in 3D. But to cut it off, from here to here, I want to mimic that curve. Now, do you notice how this whole thing sort of looks like a backward 3? Right? So what I can do is sort of visualize the backward 3. See how I'm doing that? Now, look, what about the stem? You see how this is like a backward 3 and then it comes up and goes down? So this backward 3 would come up and go down and give me a little cutoff right there. You see? So it's all about just the logic of it. And then obviously I don't need to worry about these. These are good to go.